and welcome to this week's episode of our lovely Family Tree Talk podcast. My name's Helen Tovey. I'm editor of Family Tree, and with me is
Nathan Ward. Hello there.
Hi, Nathan. So, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just had a week off, so I must confess. Oh my God, I've gone straight to confession mode. Confessing, I've done very little family tree research this last week.
Oh, it happens like that, doesn't it? It's hard to always do it. Like sometimes it's hard to stop doing it once you start doing it. There's kind of it has both. Sometimes boring things in life just take over and you can't get it done, and then other times you really should go to bed and do the boring things, and then you can't stop doing family history. I
You
think
can't.
of it.
Though we're in great luck. Well, I'm in great luck because whilst I've not been doing it, our lovely listeners have been doing it for me. So that's fabulous.
They have. They've been giving you lots of help, haven't they? So just a quick recap. I think you were trying to find was he a missing in action, killed in action, Albert Hearn in the First World War, and one lovely podcast listener got in touch. Can I just give her a little shout out?
You can.
Okay, so this is Tanya, all the way from Australia, which we just love having international listeners. So that's very exciting. So, and we do have others as well. We've not forgotten you, but it's just always exciting to have somebody listening from somewhere else on the planet. And we all love family history together, so it's brilliant. Anyway, Tanya says how much she enjoys listening to the podcast and finding out about what you're getting up to, Nathan. And she also has a tip for you. She says, assuming you haven't already discovered it, and you hadn't already discovered this tip, and what it is the UK Army Registers of Soldiers' Effects on Ancestry includes an entry for your Albert Hearn. Yeah? It's got the correct regimental number, the correct date of death, the correct next of kin, his father David Hearn. So she's with the programme that all your ancestors are called David Hearn. And then she says she hopes this helps. So thanks, Tanya, for sharing that with Nathan. Because at the point when Tanya got in touch, you didn't know about this, did you?
I didn't know about it at all. I've never seen that document before. And obviously, my thing last week was that I couldn't link Albert to any of my actual family. Although I had the documents and you said, yes, it's probably likely he is your family because you wouldn't have access to the documents you've got paper copies of.
Mm.
I couldn't find anywhere in Ancestry that linked him to any names on anyone else on my tree, and it was just frustrating me. So obviously the link to David there's fabulous. We also had a listener go onto Facebook. A big shout out to Rosie. She's been amazing. She's also pointed out that same document, saying that obviously David J. Hearn's mentioned on there for the next of kin, so that's fabulous. But she's also pointed me to the Imperial War Museum's website, and it shows on this document that his mother actually put a request in to see if his body could be found. And on that, it says, it's giving me more information. It says he was part of the trench mortar battery, which I didn't know anything about that. And it references her name as well, which is brilliant. So I have two parents looking for this child. I mean, that's obviously really sad. But it links it to my tree now, so that's brilliant. So thank you for that, everybody. That's been really good. I'll go on holiday again.
Because I'm a nosy person and I'm also very jealous when anyone makes any discoveries with their family history, I had to have a peek at that the Register of Soldiers' Effects entry for your Albert to see what clues it shared about him. And because I didn't have a family history connection, I was just kind of scouting around on the record, just thinking like, what do these records show generally? What do they tell us about our First World War ancestors? And what I found really interesting was quite a lot of the people seemed to be missing in action, and they weren't definitely presumed dead. And going through their entries, quite often they'd have the date on which the soldier had gone missing, maybe missing presumed dead, or maybe just missing in action at that point. And then the entries would say that the wages continued to be paid for 2 months and a day. So looking at the dates, it was 2 months and a day. Then 2 months and a day after they first got missing in action, then they would go, right, they're presumed dead at this point, and the soldiers' wages would stop, and they would be, presumably they would go on to the next of kin, might be starting to get a pension or whatever, but the kind of paperwork gets updated. So I just found that I don't know, it's just macabre. I don't think you can help being a bit macabre sometimes in family history, but just the machinery of how things like these records got collated and why they got collated and the impact, what it means for our ancestors and the clues it can reveal to us today. I just love all of that, the kind of practicalities of it, which is awful, isn't it? Because it's poor soldiers who've died, but it's also really interesting to see how it is a record of care, isn't it? They're trying to find out, trying to keep a record of what happened to them and trying to make sure that kind of due diligence is done with their wages and subsequently with their pension. So it's
Yeah, it's the practicalities of the time for them, but for us in the modern day, it's actually a clue and a link, isn't it, to work out where things are. I also have been sent the pension log for Albert, and that's got his mother on, Miss Sarah, but then it's also obviously got her address on it. So that once again really helps solidify, because obviously it could still be somebody called David and Sarah are parents of an Albert. It could be an accidental happenstance, but the address just makes it concrete. So it's really good that it all ties together. Much happier about that now.
Very, very good. So have you found any other civilian clues to tie Albert to your family? Or, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You've got so much kind of concrete evidence. He's definitely a relation, and that wasn't really up for doubt to start with. But it's just interesting that you've not been able to find him on an earlier census.
I've got nothing really. He is my grandma's father's brother, so he's very limited on the line as age-wise and where the censuses fell. So he just doesn't appear anywhere else. There's no other information about him. He obviously was quite
one of those staying with a family member on census night or staying with a neighbour on census night things. You'll find him eventually. He can't not be there.
He's on one or two of the censuses,
Oh, yeah.
but he's so young that it's not really anything concrete. I actually started worrying that I was actually going crazy and I was adding him to my family and I couldn't work out where he was. Like, I hadn't actually placed who he was or where he was in the line, but he is, like I said, my great-grandfather's brother. Let's have a look. What I've got for Albert in Civvy Street. So yeah, I've got him on the 1901 and I've got him on the 1911. But beyond that, nothing. This is weird. Why am I? Oh, I was just questioning whether the war guy was the correct path, wasn't I? That's why I'm getting confused. I have placed him in time. I just couldn't place Albert at war to that same family with a definite concrete tick. And like I said, somebody else has put him on their tree and married him off, and he lived a happy life. And so it's somebody completely different. But all the information that the listeners have given me now, spot on. He definitely is the one. And I'll keep that 9.8 on my tree. Thank you very much.
Yes, and also it's a fantastic kind of sequence of events, isn't it? So we were struggling around in the podcast and trying to establish, give you that confidence that the military record you found definitely was correct. And then the wonderful podcast listeners chipped in because we mentioned Tanya, but also people over, I think it was on Facebook, wasn't it? They were all sharing the same lead, going, Nathan, you've got to check this out. So it's just great.
It's lovely. We've got
helpful.
Yeah, we've got a really fantastic community, don't we? And it's like, obviously now it's a little bit of cheating for me because everyone's doing it for me, but it's so nice that everyone's like helping and sharing and we're all talking. It's fab. I love it. Made me feel warm inside.
You've now learnt that, and at some point in the future, someone else will be stuck on something and you'll be able to pass on that knowledge. And that's what helps everybody, doesn't it?
Definitely. Well, I wouldn't have gone to those documents. That's all. I don't think I didn't know they existed. So it's great to see. And I think you might have mentioned the Imperial War Museum before, but I've been a little bit lazy and kind of ignored it and just tried to stay on Ancestry. So it's actually cool to say, right, I'll go look at these things. Always learning.
It's very true. And also, sticking with the Facebook bit, so I think you've been putting out some fun questions, haven't you? Kind of jazzing up our social media, making it a bit more fun and a bit more sociable in the recent weeks. And what do you reckon, what's kind of a question that you've put on Facebook recently that's been fun and interesting and people have enjoyed?
The one that people engaged with the most was actually, you mentioned it last week on the podcast to do it, so I did. And it was, what was your favourite research document? So I went on there and obviously I said, yes, I love a marriage certificate. Like I said last week, I like the marriage certificate. I like the links to the parent line. And I also love the 1939 because of how solid the facts are. And I guess I expected everybody to just be like, just to say census, census. But actually, people have come on and told stories, and it's lovely again. We've got Matt, our publisher, who was on with us a few months ago. He was talking about the passenger list for his ancestors going to New York in 1828. So that sounds quite a cool document. We've got loads of people commenting. We've got Carol. She's got an 1891 letter written by an ancestor about the death of her aunt. And then in that letter is loads of first names are mentioned. So she's gone off and done a journey to find out who they are. So that's quite a nice little mystery. And actually having a document from your ancestors, I think that's lovely.
Mm.
There's just so many of them. I just really love the stories that are coming out.
Mm. Do you know what? I feel like I've jinxed the situation, Nathan, though, in a bad way. And this is bad news now. So I was getting more and more into the idea I wanted to research wills more and more. And I can do that. But in a few weeks' time, or I think in about 1 week's time, on the 17th of November, we got this information from Fraser and Fraser, who are air hunter company. Normally it costs £1.50 to order a will from a probate search, but now it's going to, from the 17th of November this year, 2025, it's going to cost £16. So that is quite a price hike. So if
It's
anybody wants to order any wills, if you're listening to the podcast on the day it's come out, you have a week. If you're listening to it late, you can go mix your tissues and you'll be crying. Okay. So we have shared this information on our website, and we're going to try and get as many people as possible to know about it ASAP so we can get our wills orders in before.
Yeah.
That's horrendous, isn't it?
It's a massive hike, that. One of my friends is a solicitor, and she was raging about it, saying how stupid it is. It's a lot of money, isn't it? Imagine if you've got, like, you want 10 copies because you've got so many siblings, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ridiculous.
Mm. Before, £1.50 was an absolute bargain before.
Hmm.
Just a shock when something changes like this, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's an extra couple of £100 depending on how many copies you want.
Yes, I think it's prohibitively expensive. It's very, very annoying. Anyway, so get your wills orders in.
Jump on it, everybody.
Yes. And just back to our topic of the podcast, it should be called the Research Log promo podcast. But if you have a research log, mine is not this organized, but let's say we were this organized and we had a research log and it said a list of all the documents we went to order at some point, we could potentially have a list of wills that we wish to order at some point. And because they were only £1.50, we hadn't got round to it yet. We thought we'll do that someday. But if we have a ready, accessible way to know what we want to view when we go to an archives or what we want to order, then when it comes to dramatic situations like this, when there's an imminent price rise, we can put up our list and order the wills. I'm not in this position. This would be a golden position to be in. I'm going to have to ransack through my family history, find the wills I need and get the order in.
Do you know what? I'm an idiot. I was just thinking about making wills, but you're actually talking about if you want to get some
Ordering ancestors' wills.
I hadn't even taken it that way. I was just thinking about getting yourself set up. That is going to be tricky.
I'm talking about ordering ancestors' wills. It's that service where you can order copies of your ancestors' wills. We've all been enjoying these super cheap prices of £1.50 for quite a while now, quite a few years. I can't remember how many years. It's been nice.
That's rubbish.
Yes, it is rubbish.
But equally, go get your will sorted now.
Yes.
And get cheaper copies of your own will.
Yes, and that would be one of the advantages of listening to the podcast hot off the press.
You headed
We promise that we'll be providing such good money-saving advice every week, but sometimes we will do. Where possible, we will do.
We will indeed.
Yeah.
Do you want some more of these social media?
Yes, I do. I love it.
So we've got one from Kerry, who is translating a Jersey archive document from the 18th century. It's French, so she's halfway through translating it, and it's all about one of her ancestors who was a curator at an Anglican church in St. Brelade, Brelade. My French is rubbish. It is a court document because he was reported by the vicar for theft. It's just cool. There's just so many stories. I'm really chuffed with this. It's
Yeah,
nice.
also, like, double shout out to her because she's not just translating it, she's also transcribing it from that ancient old handwriting as well. So that's a double whammy.
Yeah, and by the sounds of it, there's a story there. So
Yeah, it's good incentive to get to the bottom of it.
yeah. Have you managed to do any research recently, Helen?
Do you know, I have done some, and but you know, the last few days have been so busy, I'll have to consult my research log to remember what on earth I was actually doing. Okay, so I'm still on with my quick and dirty trees. So we did a masterclass with Karen Evans about quick and dirty trees, and she'd already been helping me before that a little bit, get going on my DNA research a little bit better. And so I had these people in America whose, I'm only going to say their first name. The first name of my match was Clarence, and his surname sounded German, and I wasn't feeling that it was a very promising lead, but equally he was quite a high number of centimorgans, and so I thought I'm going to go with this. And he was somebody in a cluster that he can help to me feel confident that a branch of my family tree that I want to remain being a branch of my family tree, and that nothing untoward's happened. He's going to help me have that confidence that that branch is still genetically related to me, which is always a good thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
No curveballs or surprises. So I was going along with my research on that branch. And obviously, each generation you go back, it's just like doing normal family history. The number of surnames doubles, don't you? Because you've got the mum and dad. And nothing was feeling very promising. And I was mucking around where was I? I think it's in Missouri. So again, I'm just feeling really all at sea with this, feeling as though I haven't got anything in common with these people. And then I find somebody who's called a surname, a wife who has a surname which seems very, very strange. And I thought it must be a transcription error. Dug into it a little bit more. And then I find her in Lancashire, suddenly start feeling a lot more warm. And then I find her husband, and there's lots of like Irish Lancashire stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'm getting back on home territory. I think we are going to be related. Because obviously, when you're building up your quick and dirty tree, you've got your match, who's maybe your third cousin, fourth cousin. So you're sharing many times back great grandparents, aren't you? And a lot's happened in those maybe 150 years. So scroll back 150 years, your ancestors just shared great granny and grandpa somewhere in the world. But then they might have gone to Australia, they might have gone to New Zealand, they might have gone to America, you might have stayed here in Britain. They've all had lots of children with lots of different surnames. They now feel as though they've got German heritage in America, and you now feel you've got Irish heritage living in England, or whatever it is. But you have got this DNA connection somewhere. So when you're building your DNA tree backwards, it is intriguing because you're like, I have nothing to do with people of German heritage in Missouri. And then you build back and it gets warmer and warmer, and you suddenly start thinking, oh, I know this part of the world. I know surnames from this part of the world. And you suddenly start to feel more connected. And you're like, I get it. I'm getting warmer. Haven't solved it yet. So it's definitely not, I don't know why it's called a quick and dirty tree. For me, it should be called an endless and dirty tree, but an endless and intriguing tree. But I'm so excited about it. I just carefully, and I find it really hard to do. It sounds awful, but I find it really hard to do slapdash research. I just can't really do it. But I don't mind if because I just have to, you have to play to your strengths, don't you? So my strength and my weakness is my rabbit holes and my diligence. Yeah. And
I'm with you on that.
I will achieve very little on my family tree through my life, but I'll have a lot of time looking at every little tiny weeny clue on every little tiny weeny thing I find.
Well, I look at what you're learning in like the world you're exploring and the stories you found. Yeah. You've got
Yeah,
to make it fun. We keep saying that, don't we?
yeah. I'm
Go
not
to
in a
what you eat.
hurry.
Go to
Yeah.
what you enjoy and do that.
Yes. So that's what I've been doing. And thank goodness for my research blog though, because even though when I'm doing it, I find it absolutely fascinating. When you asked me what I was doing, and I haven't done it for a few days, I was like, I don't know, what have I been doing?
You're making me feel bad. I have really gone slack with my research log. I don't honestly remember the last time I put any proper details in there because I've been like, this is bad. I'm making excuses up for myself, but because I've been so solely focused on one person at a time, I've been like, oh no, this is bad. I'm such a bad person. I just have been so focused on them, and I'm like, I've got a wealth of details. They're in my head constantly. I don't need to chart this because I'm so in it. But equally, as we've been discussing, and I don't know how I've done this, but I've moved on from one guy who was in the army going over to Jamaica and going over to India, and I was mad on that, wasn't I? And I was lost in it. And within the course of a week, I find the documents for World War One. I've just left that guy, and I'm now back with Albert Hearn in World War One. So I've paused one bit of research and gone on to another, and I've not written any of it up on my log.
Mm.
Such a bad man.
No, well, I don't write up lots of it. I do write up some things. And when I say I have a research log, I don't really have one log. I have a few logs, and they have to be different. So when it's a kind of a controlled train of thought, for instance, like this quick and dirty tree, it's a fairly finite project. I know I'm trying to identify how one person is related to me. It's got a finite goal. So that's going on my Excel sheet because it's kind of a controllable amount of information. But then other times I have things which I call projects, and that is a bit where, imagine you've got a huge piece of white paper and you go, this is intriguing me and I want to find out more. And so you write at the top, need to, not literally, but you kind of need to find out more. And you will write your research question at the top. You write your research plan. So for me, that would be racking my brains and searching through, for instance, Ancestry card catalogue and find my past A to Z list of records, going, what have you got as part of the subscriptions I already pay for that can help me answer this question? What record collections have you got? Writing a list of those questions and then starting to go through the record collections that I've identified, gradually building up a body of information. So that has to go on a Word document because it's ends up being far too much words to go on an Excel. Excel's not a very nice format for reading screeds of information, is it? Word document is much more leisurely space to read lots of words,
Definitely.
lots of words, and to write lots of words.
Yeah.
So I have different logs, and so sometimes I have to refer people me, no one else looks at it, me from the Excel sheet to the Word document, go see the thingy. Yeah?
Yeah.
There's no perfect way of keeping information, and I don't think it's possible to keep it all. I'm happy to be disagreed with. If anyone has a perfect way of keeping it all, but I think it's got to be, you can't also keep it all because otherwise every time you had a research session, you would spend your whole life recapping what you'd ever done before and never be able to, it's got to be a kind of summarized.
I guess it's that excitement factor. Like, I've been lost in the David Hearn senior. I can't remember which one. So many David Hearns. I got lost in him. So I was getting loads of information on him, all these documents coming up, and it was all excitable clicking and reading, and less like questions, but more intrigue. So I didn't write any of it down. And again, the same with Albert. I mean, maybe I should have written Albert down because I couldn't link him to his parents. But in my head, the way I work, I feel like when I'm trying to actually trace backwards and I'm looking for dates and facts and figures, that's the time that I use the research log and the Excel document more because I'm looking for ticks. I'm looking for hard facts and chronicling. Whereas when I get into the whimsical rabbit holes, I think I've suddenly started not using my research log because I'm just quite happily lost in it, as opposed to, I need to find this out. But equally, the completionist in me does want to find it out. It's a contradiction. I'm just a bad man and I'm trying to justify what I'm doing.
No, I do think you need to write down that the reason why you're confident about Albert Hearn is because of those UK Soldiers Register of Effect records. Because unless you have an unusual brain, most of us, you think you're going to remember something forever, only will take a few days, weeks, months, depending on the quality of your memory, before you're not quite sure why it was you felt confident about that. And it's the cross-referencing of the dad's name and the mum's home address and all that sort of thing, wasn't it, which made you confident. So I think I would write that somewhere, just so that you don't find yourself repeating the same thing in the future, the same curiosity and confusion.
I'm quite prone to adding stuff to Ancestry now for those details and facts and figures. So it's not quite my research log. It's not at a glance, but it's a tie to that person. Obviously, then hopefully makes it stick, which is good. I'm just so happy getting lost at the moment. I haven't actually thought I want to progress backwards at all, but I will do. I'm so happy getting lost. Did I tell you about the other week I was reading a book called The Match? It's
Tell me about a book, yes.
Yeah, it's called The Match. It's by Helen, and it's about a man who takes a DNA test, finds out he might have a brother or a cousin, and then hijinks happen. It's all thrillery, people get murdered, and it's all to do with DNA matches, etc. I'm not going into details because I don't like to ruin the story. So
Mm.
I won't ruin the story, but the big part of it was there were lots of family ties in this novel, and the main character who large I don't want to ruin it, so I'm just trying to word this appropriately. It was about placing him in time, I guess. So by the end of the novel, things have happened, people have died, it's all been resolved. But then at the end, I'm like, well, how was the main character related to character X? Because that was the whole point here. And it seemed really hard to work out because there was suddenly lots of cousins involved. So guess what I did?
You drew up a family tree for it.
I made him a little tree on Ancestry.
Brilliant. And,
And
so and have you found the answer by making it into a tree format?
I just, yeah, it helped solidify who was who and where they were.
I'd say that that's a separate tree from your own tree on
Oh
Ancestry.
yeah, no, I've deleted it now. I made myself a little separate mini tree for this fictional guy.
It's good fun.
It is good fun. I mean, I could have been doing my own tree instead of making up ones for fictitious characters, but I enjoyed the fact that I did it. It was a bit geeky, so
No, I think there is something about making trees. Sometimes when we get readers' questions come in and I read the question and well, not sometimes, normally, if I'm trying to work out who's who and what's what, then I will draw up a tree. And sometimes I'll draw up a tree, it'll just be on sticky notes next to my desk to try and establish who's who. And then sometimes I'll put them in Ancestry and make it as a little private tree so that no one else can see what I'm doing. Because otherwise, it's a lot of names and dates, and the tree is such a helpful way to keep track of it. And I mean a proper tree. Sometimes people will write out a big long list.
mm,
Help me, it has to be a visual tree.
interesting.
Mm.
We've all got our own little ways of working.
Yes. Yes, I don't think a tree's ever gonna go out of fashion though, is it?
No, I was just really thrilled with my little
Yes.
doubling.
Yes. Yes. I'm surprised you deleted it. I thought you might keep it and be proud of it.
Oh, I got worried. It was a private tree, but then I got worried that I'm adding people to the database on Ancestry. And I didn't know how it worked. I thought, well, I don't really want to be adding fictitious people. I was pretty sure that I'd done it correctly, that nobody else would be able to see all these details, but
As long
it
as you've
felt,
made it private and it can't be found in the index, then it's fine. The only thing it will slightly do is when you go on Ancestry and it will say people you've been researching recently, and then it might pull up hints for these fictitious characters, like you match the names. And so then you'll get just distracting information.
yeah,
A bit like it'll be like, oh, if let's say you drew up a tree for Sherlock Holmes, and then there'll be hints to thinking, hey, you might be interested in this person called Sherlock Holmes, even though there wasn't a Sherlock Holmes. You'll end up in that ludicrous situation. So that's the only bad point.
it almost does sound like fun to see if you can. No, I'm not doing it. Stop it.
But there are loads of family trees, aren't there? I remember quite a few years ago, it was just before COVID, and there was a Roots Tech came to the UK for the one and only time, and it was so exciting. And it was in London, and at the same time that well, not Family Tree Life, at the same time Roots Tech was happening in London, there was a Comic Con thing, and they had made loads of family trees of all the superhero figures and things like that, and made them as big posters. Not Roots Tech hadn't. I don't think Roots Tech had. I think it was the Comic Con people. Anyway, somebody had, because there was this wonderful crossover between two, nobody be offended, eccentric bodies of people, the family historians and the Comic Con people. We all kind of excel in enthusiasm, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm in both of those camps, so I'm not
Oh,
offended.
you would have loved that.
As
Yes.
I've done. I mean, it's quite interesting because obviously reading comic books, they do crazy storylines, and everybody ends up being related or having relationships. So that actually would be quite cool to see.
Yes. Yeah.
What I need is another rabbit hole.
That's just precisely what you need.
I do not.
Yeah. Just this is another little shout out, just in case anybody is listening to this hot off the press. So this is coming out on the 10th of November, this podcast. So Find My Past, we've been doing some cool things with Find My Past, and this isn't a part of a commercial plug, but if you're having such fun working with them, that it really is worth going over to Find My Past if you're not currently a subscriber, because they're military records, and they've got about 120 million military records, are free at the moment until the 13th of November. So go and have a hunt and see what you can find. And when you were mentioning about your Albert Hearn record and how it had a home address on it, and that gave you the confidence it was the right person. And I found a record for my RAF great-grandfather in their Air 76 records. And again, it was the home address on there that I was like, yes. And it was so faint, but because I knew his home address at the time, then I was like, yes, this is definitely the right person because it's got a home address. So anyway, there's all sorts of military records on there, and it's well worth a hunt.
That sounds really cool. I do have a couple of people on my tree that have the vaguest hints of military records, and when I've tried to pursue it further, it's been having to pay for things. So
Nathan, this is your moment, literally top of your to-do list.
yeah,
Till the
I'm gonna
30th
dip on there.
Yeah, yeah. Get on there and don't just do big broad searches. So you're going to get on there, then you're going to go to their military collections and then put in their names. And if you know the kind of subset of records that you want, then you could add that into your search. But if you don't, and it'll come up with a list, you can browse a list. It'll say words like browse the list of record sets. I can't remember the exact words. Press that, and then you can scout through ones that you think are relevant, or you can just put in their name and their birth year and see what you get.
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I mean, this is a while ago that I've found this one. I had a guy who might have some RAF records,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't actually know if it is my guy. So again, I'll be looking for dates and links and addresses to make it a bit more concrete and find out if it is. I think it was a guy called Benjamin. I'm sure it'll be on my research log.
And what you can do if you're going to have that situation where there's a few possible contenders, because with military records there's so many people serving, quite often it's a normal situation to end up with, and you're like, I don't know which one of these three people is my person. Download the records while you've got the chance, and then at your leisure you can use your analytical thinking head to work out which one's which. And because often military records have so many like codes on them, lots of jargon, don't they? But they are packed with useful clues.
Yeah.
So download the records so that you can browse them at your leisure rather than thinking you're going to keep on dipping in there and then your free membership expires.
Sounds good. Sounds good. While we're in this sort of area, and I know we've discussed this before, but it always stresses me out. I've obviously been given a bit of information about my Albert Hearn, and I've got a few documents on the Imperial War Museum. There's a telegram note saying with the mother asking about where can they find the body of the son. I'd like to tie that to my Albert Hearn. Am I allowed to put that image on Ancestry?
So this is a tricky one. So it depends on the copyright terms of the image. And I know also, so I don't know about that document that you're talking about in particular. If you want, we can go to that where you found that document online and we can read what terms they say. I do know with the Imperial War Museum, a few years ago, they released a massive body of beautiful old photographs, lots of them Second World War photographs, for instance, and they're under kind of public domain license. So I think it's a Creative Commons license, but it's for non-commercial use. So anyone who isn't using it for a commercial reason, so for instance, you including it in your family tree, if you found a photo which is relevant to your family tree, you can download it, add it to your family tree. Part of the Creative Commons licenses, you need to include that image is being used by so you have to kind of include the little link which says to the effect of this is published under a Creative Commons license. And what that means is it means that anyone going forward can go, hey, Nathan's used this image on his tree. It's in a Creative Commons non-commercial license. That photo is also relevant to me, and I can use it on my family history blog as long as it's a non-commercial entity, with the same image credit. But there's so many different variables. So for instance, me working on Family Tree magazine, I can't use that image because it's a non-commercial license. So
Yeah.
there's no perfect answer. And sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. So you have to read the terms and conditions. And public domain doesn't just mean that it's a free-for-all, but people sometimes think it does mean that.
Okay.
Public domain is a useless sentence, useless phrase.
Yes, it's tricky, isn't it? Sorry, I feel like I'm putting you on the spot or putting you in awkward positions.
No, I love talking about copyright. It's a bit like family history. It's a puzzle and there's no perfect answer and you have to keep using your brain to get to the bottom of it. And every single question has a slightly different answer.
Okay, so how about this one then? In Ancestry, you've got is it Fold 3? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
So there's a document about Albert in that.
Mhm.
I can see enough information on the preview. I don't need to actually pay for Fold 3.
Hmm.
I'll have to grab that and put that, even though it's already in Ancestry. Can I put that as a tie to him because it's already in that?
What I would personally do, I would take a screen grab of the information that I can see because that's your evidence for what you found, and then I would I don't know, what would I do? I don't think I'd feel bad attaching that to my ancestry tree because it's just there freely available. And so I think that would be completely and utterly fine.
I guess actually all I need is the information from that one, don't I? And I know I've got that, so I could link to that document, and it would actually still be linking to the Fold 3 file anyway. So if anyone were to look at my tree, they'd still have to log into the account of, that subscription.
Hmm.
I
I do love the idea of actually when you find something digital, it is good to link to something. And for instance, on your ancestry tree, there's that space, isn't there, where you can even include just web links, and that's lovely and nice until the thing moves and the link doesn't work anymore. And so, if at all possible, anytime you find something, I'd say download it or take a screen grab of it. Don't just rely and think the internet will be there forever, because it isn't. And so I found this wonderful record for my great grandfather in South Africa, time of the Boer War, and I had a link to it. And then the website, which had stuff about him, just went. It's like, well, that's no good, is it? I have no idea. So I learned the hard way. I should have copied stuff down. And then the Internet Archive. Have you ever been on the Internet Archive?
No.
Okay, so it's just this website called archive.org. And for years, it's been an absolute treasure trove of digitized old books. And I can't even think how many times we mention it in Family Tree magazine. Probably every issue we'll mention it. We may even mention it 3, 4, 5 times. There'll be a useful digitized book. We should go and get a free copy on the Internet Archive. And of course, you can go and buy an old out of print copy off like Abe Books or maybe on Amazon as a secondhand copy. But it's all money and it's all shelf space, isn't it? So being able to have a digital copy is fantastic. So we're always referencing people to go to there, but then they've been in, I think, quite a lot of legal battles recently. So lots of their collection has had to be removed. So this is why it's kind of one of those bitter lessons that because it was such an easily accessible website and freely accessible, the temptation is in your family history just to include a link to it. Whereas once a book's gone, it's gone. And it does even have a download facility. You can download it in any number of formats you want. So, and now the site seems to be quite clunky to get on at the moment over the last few weeks and months. Sometimes it times out and you can't get on it. So you might try again a day or two later to get on it. If you get on it, anytime you get on it and there's something you want, download it because it's
Good advice. Good
I
advice.
sound like the Mistress of Doom today. Will price rises going up, Internet Archive going down and timing out. But the good
Yeah, it's all useful.
find my past free records till the 13th, though. Make the most of that. There is good news.
I'm definitely gonna do that. That sounds great.
It's all go at the moment. There's so many things happening in the family history world.
It is, and like obviously we get into Remembrance Sunday and all that stuff, but there's lots of military stuff going around, isn't there, at the moment? It all seems well for me anyway. It ties in because I'm looking at Albert.
Mm,
It's on my mind.
mm. No, there is lots of military stuff, and quite right too, because that's what we promised. We said we'd remember them, and I feel really strongly about that. That as family historians, we can help that happen. And like you with your kids, you can tell them about it would be their 3 times great uncle, I think, Albert, wouldn't it? It's your great granddad's brother.
Mhm.
who'd never have any descendants and who could completely get lost to time when your kids are learning about the First World War at school and someone says, have you got any connections? About nope.
Definitely. I tried getting them interested the other day by telling them about Pirates of the Caribbean. They just sort of nodded and then started talking about computer games again.
Yes,
Mo
yes. But you have to just keep on going. My my kids are quite often, they're grown up now, but quite often they would have been like, yes. And then suddenly out of the blue I'll get a message going, a question, or normally be like, so which one was the one who, whatever it was, fell out of an aeroplane? No one fell out of an aeroplane, but some sort of bizarre question. And then at that point they'll probably wish that they'd never asked me because the whole Saturday afternoon kind of gets lost as I like
Who poked her?
yeah.
Well, kind of related. Well, it is very related to this. Talking about remembering, I've decided, having joked about it for a while, I'm gonna do my running genealogist thing, and I'm gonna do a remembrance run on Sunday because obviously it's Remembrance Sunday, and I'm gonna run to all of those different war memorials that allegedly I've got my tank man on.
Mm.
See if I can find him. So I want to do that. I'm gonna video it, so it's gonna be really boring for anybody who joins our socials. I'm gonna run around with a little selfie stick and yeah.
Won't be boring. I'll definitely be looking that up. So Nathan's in a bit of a time warp, so he's saying it will be. So by the time you listen to this podcast, it will have been. Doesn't matter. It's incidental.
It will be tomorrow. It will have been yesterday. There you
Yes.
go. I'll confuse everyone.
Yes.
But yeah, on Sunday, which will now, well, this will have gone live on Monday. Oh, be quiet. I'm cutting this. Cut this. Cut this. But yeah, I've got 3 memorials to go to with a potential 4th. So
Is
I'm
that a long run?
I'm a bit terrified actually. Yeah, there's lots of hills involved, so it
Mm.
might start off nicely. I'll go to the cenotaph and look at the pretty one, and then after that, you're probably just going to see me sweating and looking miserable. So, but I might be able to do a route that lets me run along the canal, which is quite pretty.
Mm.
Get a bit of nature.
Mm. This sounds really good. I do like your project. So are you going to share it out on Family Tree social media so we can all see it?
Yes, yes, I will. I will be putting it on. I'll
Good.
try and do a nice edited version so it's not too boring. I'm not recording the entire run because that would be horrendous.
I like it.
I like the mystery of the 4th one. Like, I've been told that there is a 4th memorial in a weird position, but actually it's going to be one of the hardest ones to get to because it's up a right big hill.
How did you find out about all these war memorials then? Have you just known about them because they're in your locality, or was there something else you did?
Well, there are 3 that I'm aware of, and I think probably my mum and various other people have said, oh, so and so's. It was Edward Nelson, the tank man guy. He's on these memorials. And then I don't know why. So the other day, someone went for a walk and said, "Oh, there's a 4th memorial in between all these villages. He's probably going to be on that as well." So I guess I'll go.
When you go to them, can you take really nice, clear photographs of all of the names?
Yes,
Because you never know who will have another family connection to them.
I'll do it all.
Mm.
I've got to get out there early though, because I don't want to get in the way of anybody doing the proper Remembrance Sunday stuff. So it'll be
Good point. Yeah,
an early run.
yeah, very good point. And I can't remember whether you mentioned it before. There's the UK National Inventory of War Memorials, isn't there? And I think it's on the Imperial War Museum website. But if you just Google UK National Inventory War Memorials, it'll come up with a list. I think it has like 100,000 war memorials from all around the UK.
Will that tell you who's on it?
Won't tell you. I don't think it'll tell you who's on it, but that's just the bonkers thing. That's 100,000 war memorials. So those war memorials will have multiple names on them. It just uses the scale of remembrance, doesn't it?
It does.
And I do think that's even all of them. It's just, and obviously some people we mentioned on more than one war memorial.
Or potentially 4, like mine, allegedly.
Yes, yes, and some people won't have been mentioned at all if they were deemed not allowed.
Yeah.
There was some element of disgrace.
Oh boy.
Gosh, it's really harsh, isn't it?
Mm.
Have we got time for me to mention one more cool thing?
Of course, always time for cool things.
Okay, so again, as I am the queen of rabbit holes, and this is nothing to do with my own family history at all, but when we were working with Find My Past, then they have links to combat reports. So if you're going on to Find My Past, go and look for the air combat reports and the Second World War RAF reports of being in combat. So I don't, well, my dad always used to say as a joke when I was a kid, like, there I was at 50,000 feet or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like a Second World War spoof of old boys who served in the Second World War, regaling everyone with the exploits of what it was like to be a pilot in a dogfight and stuff like that. Anyway, go on to Family Past, go to these combat reports. Then they don't actually have the reports. They have just a very succinct summary with, say, somebody's name and the squadron number, but it have a link through to the National Archives. So you click the link, go through to the National Archives website, log into a National Archives account, which is completely free to create. Then with that link, you'll be able to download the combat report. And we've put one on our blog. So he's a guy called Jan Franzikek. So in the description of the podcast, we'll include this guy's name because he's so exciting. He was a Czech flying ace, and he flew in a Polish squadron in the Battle of Britain. And so he's flying, over southeast England, over London, and his descriptions of what in his first hand. So he comes down and he has to say what he's been doing up in the air. Yeah.
Okay.
There is his typing. He's not even speaking or typing in his first language. There's a few little things where you think it's not your first language, but on the whole, it's flawless English. And he's talking about how he's had to hide in the mist, and then he could hear planes below him, so he went down and there'll be a German plane 10 feet away from him. Another time he managed to attack somebody, and then he saw them bailing out with their parachute. All of this is going on and on and on. He gets shot a few times by some German planes. I think there were Heinkels and Messerschmitts attacking him, and he has to do a crash landing in a cabbage patch. And then when he luckily he obviously lives, when he gets out, the local bobby's turned up and there's people there with chocolates for him and flowers, and it's just so exciting and so incredible. It's literally like a movie, and you're reading just a couple of typed up pages. So I have no connection to London. I've got a few RAF collections. I've no connection to any Czech or Polish ancestry. It doesn't matter though, just to get that first-hand view of history by somebody who's typing it up, probably within hours of it having happened. It's just incredible.
It's crazy. It's all, you almost can't quite believe it, can you? Like, you'll see the films, you'll read about things, and you don't really actually imagine them actually happening despite seeing them. And that is like a first-hand account. That's just amazing.
It is. And it's back to that kind of machinery of war thing, which is horrendous on the one hand, but it's also really practical. So, he had to go up, and at the start of the report, it will say, I can't remember exactly, but it will say things like how many planes he was engaged with, how many he thinks he may have shot down. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Which is, obviously, if it's the other side, it's gutting if it's your ancestor getting shot down. And he did get shot down as well anyway. Anyway, it's fascinating, amazing little insights, windows to history.
Yeah, it sounds great. I think we might have to link to a few of them on the socials as well. So I'll
Seriously, such good stories. Yeah.
Sounds cool.
So what are you going to do over the coming week then?
I'm going to be recovering from my run.
Yes.
That's it. No, I will tidy up all the stuff to do with. Do you know what? I'm naughty. I've still not written up David Hearn, have I? So I need to write him up. I want to do that, but I want to tidy up everything to do with Albert as well, because I feel I've got to a really good point with that, and maybe I can stop going off on tangents and maybe try and start going back again. We know it's not going to happen.
That sounds like enough. Writing up Albert, writing up David, making your running video of the war memorials and editing that. That's a lot of stuff for a busy person.
I guess it is, yes. I'll be nice to myself.
That's plenty.
I'd probably say this far too much, but I do have the urge to get back now. I'm in that mood where I want to go back. My mood switches from wanting to just do a deep dive into one person and get focused, and then at other times want to get back. And now I'm like, I'd like to get back. I feel like, and I know I think I've said this before, I want to get to a point where I'm stuck on Ancestry, where there's no documents it can give me. And I know that's probably totally impossible and improbable, but if I get to that point, it's like, right, now what do I have to do next? But I know there's so many people I've not found yet.
And also, even if Ancestry can help you find the people, there's definitely 1,000,001 other resources that can help you find out more about the people.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I'm keen to expand on that, but I am honestly scared also of like the volume of stuff you can actually find. I'm trying.
Just like literally take it research session by research session.
Definitely.
Mm.
So what are you gonna do?
I'm going to carry on with my laughably called quick a dirty tree. I think I could maybe win a Guinness Book of Records for the longest dirty tree.
It's probably going to end up with a better tree rating than my actual tree.
Oh, I think my tree rating has actually gone up recently.
Does it? Check you out.
Yes, I can't remember. I think I only because I pretend to not care very much about that. I only had a glancing look at it, but I think it might have gone up to 9. I think I was in the 8s before. Can't quite remember.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on with that, and then I will consult my research log, and it will tell me what I need to do after that. Because I just feel like I've got little headspace at the moment, so having my research log to basically be part of my brain is really helpful.
Yeah, it takes all the information out so you don't have to return it. That's
Yeah, it means I can just land at a research session and then it'll direct me. So a good assistant.
sounds lovely.
Yes. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And if you want to sign up to our e-newsletter, then it's www.family-tree.co.uk/newsletter-sign-up. And we have recently as well had done a wonderful military research guide, which is a compilation of many of the articles which have appeared in Family Tree recently by the wonderful Graham Bandy. And at the moment, just for a very short while, then we're sharing it out as a free digital copy. You can also buy a printed copy. And Graham is somebody who has just literally spent his lifetime accruing military information. So he knows so many minute details. It's untrue. He's been doing it since he was 7 years old. Okay, it's impressive, isn't it?
That was really impressive.
Yes, and it shows how much there is to learn, that he's still learning and hasn't got bored. Yeah. Anyway, a little summation of this is in the workbook. It's 52 pages long and it's packed with useful stuff about anything military. So while we're on the military theme, it's worth giving that a shout out.
And if you go to our website and sign up for the newsletter from there, I think you get free access to it.
Yes, get it as a download. Yeah, but not for long, so you have to hurry.